Lord, for the citizens of St. Mary's, Lord, and the great staff we have, Lord, the mayor, the council, Lord, and everybody that's assembled tonight to just make St. Mary's a better place. Lord, I pray as we deliberate, Lord, as people ask questions, Lord, as concerns are brought up, Lord, I pray you'd help us to be mindful, Lord, to do things decently and in order, but to put, Lord, morals and what's right first above all else, Lord, and I pray that we'd make decisions based on what's right for St. Mary's. And Lord, help us. Lord, help our minds. Lord, I pray you guide our thoughts and our actions tonight. And all that's going to be said and done, I pray it glorify you. And Lord, for you alone are worthy. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Madam Clerk, we'll have a roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Councilman Jones, post 1.
I'm here.
Councilman Connor, post 2.
Present.
Councilman Ingram, post 3.
Here.
Councilman Nascimento, post 4.
Here.
Councilman Rassi, post 5.
Present.
Councilman King, post 6.
Here.
Mayor Lockhart.
I'm here, madam.
Sir, we have a quorum.
Yes, ma'am, and for the record, a unanimous vote will be a vote of 6.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we have our approval of minutes. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Rassi, second by Mr. Jones. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
All righty. We have some presentations tonight, and first up on the list is Ms. Marina Martins from Pigmental Studios.
Thank you, Mayor, Mr. Mayor, and the council members for giving me this opportunity just to give you an update. I've heard a lot of questions out there in the community, and I thought I'll just volunteer to come in here and tell you what is. And then if you have more questions, please connect up with Jill at the office. She'll schedule you in. We'll give you, your 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour deep dive as you need it. So, I know that I think the countdown started in about May of last year when the city approved our permits. Our zoning, and one of the fastest, most seamless experiences that anybody in my team has ever seen. So we're incredibly grateful for that, and I'm not sure exactly what was expected after that, whether we were supposed to put a shovel in the ground immediately to just make everybody happy, but that's not the way I roll. I just really want to go through the steps as they require. I'm more of a person that likes to talk about what we're doing rather than what we intend to do. So that is kind of the way that you will find out about what we're doing and follow our process. So, in the vacuum that has been created since then, I just want to kind of fill in some gaps. One of the main things that happened was it took us a while to get title on the last piece of property, and we've amassed 115 acres, and you can see that in the map here. That last piece of property that used to belong to SG Block and then SG Development was one that we were in the process of purchasing. There were some issues on title, et cetera, but anyway, that was cleared up in November of last year. It's a little late for us to dive into pre-dev, which is design and all the elements required for permit. There's a big list of that, and that list is a 9-month process. So we thought, okay, we'll go in January, everybody gets a holiday break, and we'll go in January, and we'll be up and running in February or so. Well, we were ticking boxes for our investors and our funding, and one of the questions that was on the list of questions was, as the energy, have you checked through the energy situation? Are we all okay? And I was blithely thinking, yes. So we had a call with Georgia Power. We had our experts on the call. We had James Coughlin on the call. And we asked a very simple question. We need 5 megawatts. We need you to say yes, and we move on. And the answer was not yes. the answer was, well, how and when do you need it? I'm like, I need it now. I need you to know that when we open our doors, you have 5 megawatts, and we couldn't get that answer. So I had to go back to our investment group and our financing and tell them the honest truth. We don't know where we are on energy. And they were lovely. You know, they said, okay, we're still here for you, but what are you going to do? And call us when you know what you're going to do. So we pivoted really, really fast. So now we're in February, towards the end of February. And so what we had to do, we didn't have to, but what we chose to do is put together a partnership, an alliance with an energy generating company. We interviewed several. There were many that were interested, many that are still interested, and we've picked who we think our partners are. Problem with an energy generation plant is clean energy, something that doesn't disrupt the community, the air quality, the environment, et cetera, et cetera. So we really looked for the right partner to come in and build this energy plant, which will be a combination of solar, gas, just clean energies, hydrogen, and perhaps we're just breaking down our master plan on that right now. The problem, again, these are all these little hurdles, massive hurdles that we've had to jump through, is how do you, who are the outtakers for this energy? Because Pigmental at 5 megawatts is not worth building a plant for. So we had to bring on board a data center group that would be a substantial outtaker of the energy, and that was another negotiation. So we are, in total, the cost of the energy and the data center penciled out about $1.2 billion, a lot more than what we had in our little kitty. So we had to go out and make sure that that was accessible, available, and when. So that's what I've been doing for the last few months, to be quite honest, really focused on that. I think we've got it now. In parallel, we've been working on our master plan, on our master designs and all the elements necessary for the permits. That was always, like I said, a 8 to 9 month period. We're probably closer to 8 months now because it's only been about a month where we've nailed our energy situation. So we don't have shovels in the ground, but we have a lot of people working in their offices. These are soft costs. These are not, construction costs. Our phasing has changed a little bit, just because the market has changed so much. We've had to address that issue. I have friends in Atlanta who have empty stages, so we focused deliberately and effectively on making sure that our stages would not be empty. Being in rural Georgia, getting the 5% uplift from the post-production tax incentives is a huge plus. So everybody that was involved in that, we're very, very grateful. It elevated our visibility in the media space. So that was a good thing. January, February was a little rough for us. Actually, February, March was a little rough for us because there were a lot of discussions about federal media tax credits versus state tax credits. We had to navigate that. You would think, and I was extremely excited to have this idea that we're going to have federal tax credits on top of our state tax credits, but that isn't quite how it worked, and it works. And so I had to figure that one out. Basically, a portion of the state tax credits apparently comes from the federal government, so it was one or the other. So everybody was like in a wait mode, but we keep going forward. I'm just telling you all of these things so that you understand the hurdles that we're going through to get to where we want to go through. I'm here, we're not going anywhere. We're not intimidated by the fact that the industry last year was basically crap. It was a tough year for the industry, but it's coming back, and our model is a little different. We're not dependent on people showing up to build in to film in our studios. We've created a network of people that will come because they're working with us very early on in the process. That was we just had to pivot again and again and again. problem, solution, problem, solution. So that's kind of where we are. I know there's some elephants in the room. One of them that I just want to be very clear on. Yes, Jim Jacoby was building a studio in St. Mary's. Jim Jacoby asked me to take over building a studio in St. Mary's, not as a partner with him, as a separate entity. So Pigmental Studios is not Jacoby, the development. It is Pigmental Studios, and we are individually as a company building this studio. So the rumors that we are Jacoby, or we are partnered with Jacoby, are just not true in this case. I just want that to be very, very clear. Talked about the energy. That was pretty much my quick timeline. We have had to rephase our build out, mainly because of changes in pricing. With tariffs, we also had a pause there to understand what that meant to our numbers. We're a 65% loan funded operation, and the rest is a combination of equity and institutional mezz lending. So just so that you know, that's how we're funding this. The equity partners have been there since day one. I wouldn't have started this if I didn't have those equity partners. We have them. They're still standing. And we know that they have to be compliant with DOD and other aspects. They are. And they're still here, which is sort of remarkable for me, but they are. Let me see. So what we'll be doing is finishing our pre-dev, which is soft costs. We have all of the property, as you know, under contract, purchased. We have our zoning intact. We just are working through the soft cost line items, and we'll get there. Our goal is to have the energy people come in parallel, so that when we're ready, they're ready to deliver our energy needs. And the data center also will be going in parallel to be up and running. We have sourced some very interesting technology in data centers. We didn't want to be pulling from the community grid, so we'll have our energy to support that. And we also didn't want to be pulling from water sources or adding to the sewer issues. So our technology, and I'm happy to share with anybody if you want to come into the office, we'll walk you through that. Our technologies, our partners' technology is very clean, very efficient, and we are an AI driven process. We are going to be using a lot of data, and so we wanted to make sure that we were not drawing away from the community's needs. We have our own, and of course the data center is available for the local community, and so is the energy as needed, if needed. Let me see. I think that's it. I think that's my point. You could go, Marina. You're talking too much. I just want to say that we've got our studios going. We've got our studio services going, which includes our training programs. I want you to know that we've been making some headway on our training program. Our focus is vets and transitioning active military and their spouses, not because we're trying to be, just good citizens. Yeah, we are trying to be good citizens, but because we know that the work ethic that comes with these people is just extraordinary. And we have a lot of help from different resources to help us gather the funding required to make this available. So I just want you to know that. Job creation, of course. 2,000 jobs is, when we're full, we'll have 2,000 people working at that studio. And the training is vital, not only for the military community, but also for the local community. We're going to need that. I've said this before. That is a critical component of what we're doing. Our community facing includes, of course, the Saltwater Performance Group. They are in our offices right now as a temporary space. We're working with them through the transition, and we'll work with them on building their facility. We're working with our network of nonprofit funding people to help put that together. We're working with FEMA so we can be a safe place in case of an emergency evacuation. We're having urgent care, not only for the studio people, but the community as needed. And we're going to have Dave Riley's project, the Tabby Trail, come through our community, through our studio, to just add to the allure of coming down that trail. So that's it. I can answer any questions that you might have. If I missed something, I'm looking for elephants, so that's what I'm shooting. Questions?
Marina, I'd just like to say I appreciate all your hard work, everything that you've done. You and I and others in your organization had a chance to meet about 2.5 years ago, and it has been a pleasure working with y'all.
Thank
It really
you.
has.
I really appreciate that. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next, we have the Knights of Columbus making a donation to the Police Department K-9 group.
Thank you, Mayor Lockhart. We want to certainly let everyone know of the great community work that we're doing, part of the Knights of Columbus. So just in 2 short years, we've had over 274 runners that have signed up through the support of St. Mary's, and knowing that, hey, this cause that we're doing is for the K-9 unit, because they get zero support. So 2 years ago, I had an officer approach me and said, hey, we want you to kind of help us raise some money. So I said, let's do it. It took a little while to get all that organized, but through the help and through all of the support, we were able to do that. And so far, just in 2 years, we've raised $20,000 for the St. Mary's Police Department. So this year, thank you. So this year, last year we had 2 races and raised $10,000. This year, going forward, it'll just be 1 race, and so this race we raised $10,000 as well. So throughout, some more, sponsors and some donors made that $10,000 total. So with that, I would love to present this big check that we have to the police department, along with the help of the Knights.
Thank you very much,
Sir?
Mr. Nix.
Sir,
Mark? I think Mr.
our clerk is asking if you would state your name
Oh, I apologize.
for the record.
Sorry. My full name is Mark Alexander Nix Sr., and I'm a 4th-degree Knight with the Knights of Columbus.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you all. Thank you very much for all the hard work that the Knights have done, and the continued support that you're giving to our K-9 program. Very, very much appreciated, and proud to be one of you.
Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. The board announcement for term expiration for the St. Mary's Library Board. We have 2 positions there. And a board appointment for the Tax Allocation District Number 3 Advisory Board. We have 1 seat there. And we have board appointment for the Camden County Board of Education, Sex Educational and Instructional Review Committee. So if you have any interest in serving on one of these boards, please see the city clerk with an app, and she can get you an application, and we appreciate your service. And so next we have the finance report, and looks like Margaret's going to come up and do that for us.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. You will find in your packets an overview of the city's revenue and expenses through May the 31st, 2025, which is the 11th month of the fiscal year 2025. All reports are cash basis. Are there any questions?
No, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we will now have a report of our city manager.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and citizens. First thing I'd like to do is I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the St. Mary's Kiwanis Club for their sponsorship and hard work in creating a wonderful event for our community. I would also like to take a moment and thank our staff for the countless hours of preparation and the work that they put into making the fourth festival a huge success. That's everyone from our administrative assistants, our finance department, our tourism, our Main Street, fire, public works, police department, and I'm going to forget somebody, but it's each and every one of the employees because they did participate and they were a part of the event overall. As of this morning, the Main Street boat ramp has had all of its cleats replaced, had additional cleats installed as well. For those of you that may not have noticed, but when you go down St. Mary's Street back towards the lagoon, which is back towards our Ready Street property, you should have may have missed the barricades are gone, and that's because the sidewalk has been repaired. We have, as around 3 o'clock this afternoon, we have received word that we should be seeing our checks from FEMA and GEMA for Hurricane Helene cleanup, and we may see them as early as tomorrow, which will be wonderful. FYI to the public and to council, we have the Live After 5, which is the old First Friday event going on downtown from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock in downtown St. Mary's. That's Friday night. They'll have live music, food trucks, vendors, even a golf cart show to help folks get around. It's shaping up to be a fun night. You can go to our Main Street Facebook page for further details. And on July 12th, from 6 to 8, is our next Music in the Park with the Bluff 5 Band, and you can go to visit stmarys.com, which is our tourism website, for further details on that. Mr. Mayor, that concludes my report for this evening.
All right, thank you, Mr. Horton. And I do want to say I appreciate all the hard work for the staff on the day of the festival, but in particular, I want to recognize Public Works for a lot of the work they did preceding the festival to really improve the way our city looks. Hopefully when you came in tonight, you noticed the front of City Hall looks much better. The weeds have been pulled. We have a new layer of rocks, and the medians are trimmed, and a lot of the dead branches are down, and those kinds of things. So I hope you're starting to see some of that around town and notice that we're trying to take better care of the way we present ourselves to our residents and our visitors. And so thanks Public Works for all their attention to that detail. Okay, we will now have our granting audience to the public. So please come up and
Set the consent agenda.
oh, I'm sorry.
Consent agenda.
Set our consent agenda. So item A, resolution supporting participation amicus brief in the pending appeal in the city of Milton versus Chang.
Consent.
Consent.
City of St. Mary's social media policy and compliance.
Discuss.
Item C, the right-of-way encroachment license agreement between the City of St. Mary's and Santa Maria Venue LLC, tax parcel S3702001, WH Gross Construction.
Consent.
Item D, resolution abandonment of an unopened alleyway, Church Street, and a quitclaim deed with reservation of easement to Santa Maria Venue LLC, WH Gross Construction.
Consent.
Item E, memorandum of agreement right-of-way Burrell Creek Boulevard Bridge Project, Georgia Department of Transportation.
Consent.
Consent.
Item F, St. Mary's Rec Authority Park Swimming Pool lead and asbestos removal with Anderson Environmental, Inc.
Consent.
Discuss.
Discuss.
Item G, contract fire station, access road, and tax allocation district number 2, water treatment plant infrastructure improvements, Reynolds Construction of Georgia.
Discuss.
Item H, we will need to vote on that one.
Sir,
Yes, ma'am?
you're able to do a consent.
Okay, all right.
Consent.
Consent.
Consent? Yes, sir. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to add an item to the agenda, and that will be a discussion on the timing of when we receive our council packet
Okay.
and when that's due to the clerk.
All right. Is there a second for that?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, H, that'd be item I, discussion on packet. And obviously, we will discuss that. So we have, for the consent agenda, items A, B, C, D, E, and H. So with that, we will now
Mr.
have
Mayor,
granting.
did you say, I
We
think
had
B was needed to be
discussed.
discussed?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, B?
B as in
B.
boy?
All right, I'm sorry. I heard a couple of consents, so I didn't hear that. All right. All right, so once again then, the consent agenda is item A, C, D, E, and H. Correct? So we will now have our granting audience to the public, so please come up, give us your name and your address, and keep your comments, please, to 5 minutes or less.
Tom Canning, 410 Point Peter Place. Bear with me by speak a little fast because a number of items in 5 minutes. The first item is I want to bring everybody's attention about assistance programs that are made visible through the Camden County Neighbors Helping Neighbors website. In particular, one of the things we orchestrate is the Camden County Backpack Program. Let you know that last year we delivered over 5,000 bags of food over the course of the year. Each bag had 2 lunches and 2 breakfasts, and all of that is orchestrated in coordination with the school counselors, and we service all 12 of the school locations. Thank you. Along with that applause, we're looking for money and volunteers. So, wherever your checkbook is, I'll meet you there. The other item I want to bring to your attention as far as assistance goes is on the 21st of July, Monday, we will have our next mobile food pantry. We've been servicing about 400 families, actually a little more than that, every time we conduct it. And that's in coordination with a number of organizations, and food is being provided by the Second Harvest of Coastal Georgia. Next item, I want to bring everybody's attention, and I'm disappointed to hear how many people are not aware that there's an election in progress today, this week. As minor as you may see it, it is for the Public Service Commission. 2 Democratic candidates didn't meet the 50%, so there's a runoff. This week only at the annex, and only 1 election day and 1 voting location on the 15th, and that's up in Woodbine. For those of you interested in details, please go to the Camden County website, the elections and registration website. It has all the details. Next item is I want to thank the city, everyone involved, for cutting the grass around the pond up by Theater by the Tracks. I know it was an eyesore for many. I do ask you, and I think I've mentioned it to a few of you, that you follow through not only doing things like that, but also document that with a violation and a lien against the property owner, recognizing that they have their issues, but that's what the city ordinances call for, and I think you ought to do it. Just add to the lien, but make it public and make people aware that they're not supposed to be getting these services for free. Next item is, bear with me. Regarding new businesses, on B, the city social media, I think I provided this to all of you, but let me just read it real quickly. Regarding the social media based on attached receipt, excerpt, I find no fault or abuse of personal staff and council social media communications. Regarding public comment, I suggest that no public comments be permitted to avoid the staff labor involved to screen and act. There are plenty of other opportunities and options for the public to comment and communicate with the city. The city of St. Mary's website and Facebook and other social media sites should be a one-way and timely information source, including the marina and the aquatic center sites. If you want feedback, provide a website contact page, a QR code, or highlight an underscore the URL link for others to use. Leave the option to share on Facebook, but remove the option to comment and like, etc. If the public wants to comment to the public on their share, they have the ways to do that. But at least you will not burden yourself with staff-managed social media police force. Regarding the periodic review, this is too vague and not reliable or consistent. I suggest that this be an annual action and the city manager report during the following city council meeting placed on the agenda. Okay. Bear with me, I'm going a little fast. Regarding the contract for removal of the asbestos on the swimming pool, I have shared with you some thoughts on that, but I want to underscore, as the fact is, we all know that there's woulda, coulda, shoulda, things that could have been done better, but it's not too late. That asbestos at that swimming pool, we can get that declared through the EPA as a brownfield site. And once you declare it as a brownfield site, you can apply for the appropriate funding, state or federal funding, to get all or at least some of that paid for out of those funds. So if you approve the $30,000 for them to do it now, then the subject is moot. If you hold off and consider what I'm just suggesting, maybe we can come up with $1 savings and a better way of doing that. And last, if it's lastly or not, on the map, I know you mentioned it a couple of times. At one time or another, it was rumored or discussed that JDA and the Chamber of Commerce were going to rent some space or take advantage of some space there. I assume at some cost that they would contribute. Somebody mentioned JDA today, but I've heard both sides of it now that they've backed out and doing something else. So if you mention that, it sure would be nice to consolidate into that space. The next item is, as you all know, as you heard today, it's very expensive to get this work done, no matter how you do it. I think some of you are aware, I've done some research regarding spaces of that size, large open spaces, and they can be more economically outfitted using a module type construction frame. In other words, you design it, they build it off-site, they bring it in, they construct it. It gives you two things. It gives you cost savings as well as it gives you the flexibility later on to make adjustments in a less costly manner.
Thank you, Mr. Canning.
Okay.
Time's up.
A little extra there, but.
Yeah, all right. And event use, I'm glad you brought options up on the event use. Please consider making that also available for public use. Thank you.
Wow.
Roger Shaw, 30 Marymount Court, St. Mary's. In regards to the City Hall, is that open for discussion real quick here? They're nodding? Okay. Okay. Anyway, I was a general building contractor for 37 years in Southern California, and we did large spaces like this, both TIs, tenant improvements, and supermarket areas for Collins Construction out there. Now, where there's talk about this opening things up, removing drop ceilings in large spaces, that's a huge volume to condition. Also, you have to figure where your electrical, fire suppression, everything else has got to be run in that area. And to quote Bette Midler on a concert in New Haven Arena, this looks like the inside of an air conditioner. Okay? It doesn't work. You have your drop ceilings, you have those ceilings insulated, and you can run your ductwork where you need to run your ductwork so you can control the space that you're in rather than this huge volume. Okay? Secondly, you can run your electrical as needed with your electrical chases and everything else. These are big, huge, wide pans with lots of electrical running through them and big sections coming off. And everybody thinks that you don't do it. When you see this open construction a lot of times, like when we did the Eider project in Torrey Pines, is you had a floor that was raised this high, so you could run everything underneath it. And now the floor was modular that could pop up and you could get access to this thing. So that's something to think about.
This does have a modular
Okay.
floor.
Yeah, so you may have modular floors in areas, but again, think about the same thing overhead when you have to run things. The other thing is anybody, I don't know how many people are old enough to have served in the military under McNamara, who was a bean counter. He was going to save dollars here, dollars there, dollars everywhere else, and save up all kinds of money. He commissioned the Kennedy, the aircraft carrier, that was obsolete when it hit the water because it was conventionally powered, not nuclear power. So he was going to save money. It cost a huge amount of money in the long run. Secondly, he was the designer of the F-4 Phantom, the all singing, all dancing, all prancing, do everything airplane. It was a piece of garbage, okay? And a engineer said one time, the F-4 Phantom is the perfect example. Given enough power, you can make a brick fly. Okay, so when we get in here and start penny pinching along these lines, you have a real problem. You better look to the future and say, okay, we have sections that we can expand later on. Let's prep this for the expansion now with the prices we have today, because as everybody knows, our dollar credits are worth less and less. It's not things are more expensive, it's every one of our dollars is worth less and less. So let's think ahead on that. When I did projects for people, multi-million-dollar houses, and we want to do expansions, so we're doing the kitchen remodel, said, okay, you want to put a big wraparound deck on here? Let's take where these windows are going to come out later on, let's frame those out for big doors and run the electrical around there and everything else. So when it's time to put the deck in, we just cut these sections out, boom. We don't have to touch anything on the interior walls or anything. Save a whole bunch of money. You pay a little bit up front, same thing upgraded the panels, sub-panels where they're going to be needed later on. So we didn't have this huge expense later on. Anyway, just a suggestion, okay? Take that under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Darrell Law. I am the president of the Kiwanis Club of St. Mary's. And in regarding to our 4th of July festival we just had, highly successful, well attended. I trust everyone had a great time. But we will give you some special thanks coming from us in the club. The first is to Chief Galloway and his department. Yep, he's still back there. He was out there, took care of an incident that we didn't have to deal with. And also, Chief, I want to tell you, one young lady, one female officer, saw me carrying trash just before dark, and the crowd was thick. She got out in front of me, she cleared the path. But the one thing I saw about her was as she walked, clearing the path, there were so many people come up to her, giving her a hug, shaking her hand, talking to her. You know how good that makes you feel to see an officer treated like they should be for a change?
Amen. Amen.
That stood out to me. Chief Lautner with the fire department, the paramedics, they were there. We had very minor incidences, a couple of them, and plus our own member who was the worst, I think, tripped and fell, cut her head open, broke her arm right at her shoulder. She's not in good shape yet. She's back home. But they were there, took care of it now. Without the incident, that's good. Thank you. To the City Public Works Department, the guys that did all the preliminary work, who helped us during the day, to the 2 guys with the 5-gallon buckets and little pinchers keeping trash picked up. Little things. That means a lot. It looked good. Thank you. And then to y'all, the city council, for standing behind us, helping us with the fireworks and the barge. The fireworks went off great. I think everybody appreciated that. And my thanks, I should have said first, thanks to the good Lord for giving us clear weather and sending that storm north. We were very blessed with that.
Amen.
And the last one, to Mr. Alan Rassey, my program chair, who started with me planning this 5 months ago. Thanks, Alan. I appreciate all of that. And to all y'all, our thanks from Kiwanis.
Thank you. Thank you.
How y'all doing? I had to remember to give my name. Rich Gamble, 107 Dearworth Street, St. Mary's, Georgia. I'm here to publicly say to you, Mayor, what I wrote to you. I told you when I wrote you the letter that I would say it publicly, say it to your face. Before I say it, I want to recognize Audie Jones, say it again, Jones, and Lynn Keaton, Lean and Clean. Dear Mayor Lockhart, I saw you outside your printing business, and your youthful and wholesome look was prominent. It is consistent with your leadership style and certainly a look of honesty to be trusted. I believe you should look like what you're trying to sell, and you have filled those shoes. I also believe in the road least traveled and not following trends. You are on that road. I want to nickname you Babyface Mayor. Not the best of nicknames, but certainly better than Scarface. Associating youth into your character is hopefully evidence of a fresh beginning for St. Mary's. I think BF Mayor, born from E.F. Hutton, projects an air of financial confidence and fiscal discipline for our community. For me, BF Mayor fits with reverence. I like the change you made to allow citizens to comment for a reasonable 5 minutes at the onset. You encourage positive feedback in addition to constructive criticism. Tonight I'm here to praise. I'll be back Thursday. Yes, sir. Your mother stopped as I worked in my yard. She confided there have been some disheartening distractions that you may have taken to heart. I call that evidence you care. When I retired from NCIS, my boss said, Gamble, you should not be retiring because you still have juice. Now that may not sound like much, but that was profound to me because I retired in 2004 and I can remember everybody who was there, that conversation. And I went on to teach college for 8 years, high school for 13 years. I coached the high school swim team and I coached the high school mock trial team. So I must have still had some juice, you think? BF Mayor, mix your caring gene with one of your inherent mean genes. And then like Jersey Mike, you got the juice. So BF Mayor full of juice, this is your thing. Do what you want to do. Thank you.
Ain't it hard to live up to all that now? But I'll keep trying.
Just be yourself. That's good enough.
Larry White, 102 Sylvia's Court in St. Mary's. I thought for sure that the city manager would say something about the parking lot at the senior center. It was completed this last week, which is good. They also completed the footbridge connecting the parking lot to the driveway going in the back of the senior center. So I'm glad to see that that was completed. Now that I've given you a good one, I very seldom agree with Artie Jones. But his comment during the work session about the new city hall strikes me. You can be fiscally responsible and still spend money. You don't have to be fiscally responsible and say, I don't want to spend any money. If you don't spend the money on the new city hall now and do it piecemeal and try to save money on what you spend on it, you're going to regret it in the future. Because when you want to do things later on, it's going to cost you more money. With the situation that the country is right now, with the tariffs going into effect, a lot of the building materials that you're going to see that you want to use for putting in the city hall is going to go up. So if you want to make fiscally responsible decisions now, go ahead and spend the money on the city hall so you don't have to spend twice as much money in a few years on what you want to complete it on. That's what I think.
Thank you, Ms. Slide.
Ken Jelly 102 Saltgrass Trace here in St. Mary's. Mr. Mayor, council members, during the 4th of July festivities, I was one of the individuals that was operating the courtesy golf carts, driving people from here to there, from their cars to the event and back. I had an opportunity to talk to many individuals, and without exception, they all had very, very positive things to say about our festivities, about St. Mary's in general, about how courteous everybody is here. So I would ask, well, where are you from? Well, certainly some of them here from St. Mary's and some from Fernandina. But I was very impressed at folks that said, well, we're here from Ohio. I said, well, why are you here? Well, our friends told us that St. Mary's is the place to go for the 4th of July. So we rented a cottage or a house or whatever. And not just one person, and not just 5, but many individuals were here from other cities, other states. Fernandina had a nice representation, and of course St. Mary's did as well. However, St. Mary's is on the map. People know about St. Mary's, and the word is continuing to spread. So we've made a mark, and I think it's because not only are we very welcoming, we're still a very, very interesting city. Not a little tiny town, but a very, very interesting city. And that's drawing people in. And of course, they're going to spend money here. So we should think about that and maybe try to capitalize in other areas to ensure that we really build that foundation even stronger than it is right now today, and be able to support the additional influx of visitors from other parts of the state as well as other parts of the country. And hopefully at some point in time, everybody will be able to say, St. Mary's, that's our vacation destination. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bert Seals, 816 Riverview Drive. You got that? You got it? Yeah, you. Now, I think I knew you got one. You didn't bring it. Okay. Quickly, the Pigmental Studios. I like the fact that they're not affiliated with Jacoby anymore, which is really that's a very, very sour point with Jacoby right now. Me personally. And she mentioned about a medical facility. That's kind of interesting that the public can use whenever they develop it. Is that?
I'm not too sure.
Urgent care facility.
An urgent care, but you said the public can use it too. I mean, I didn't get that. I wish we would, City Manager, you mentioned, it's nice to have an update. And like Mr. White said, the parking lot is there. And, I was going to talk about it, but he did it already. So I think we need to give us a little update. Because that's a prime location for the members or for the citizens of St. Mary's. So we need to kind of let us know. It helps a lot. On the review of the city revenues, it would have been nice if the aquatic, in reference to the shortfalls in the aquatic center, it shows 164,685, and then for the St. Mary's Marina, 30,875. It would be nice to see are we going down or are we increasing in terms of the deficit? Because I think that the marina and especially the aquatic center, I think we need to eat that because I think we need those things. So I don't have a problem with that, but at the same time, we need to watch the savings of what we're doing, like Mr. White was saying in the agreement. I agree the same way too because it ain't getting cheaper. You know what I mean? One of the things that I see they had it came through seniors grateful for new food vendor at center, and it was Christina Connolly. Mr. White, he sits on the board. A couple of these guys sit on the board, and yes, I like the food that they're serving now because he was kind of in the open air. He mentioned that he disagreed, and I'm like, I'm sorry, like Bob Dylan said, knocking at heaven's door. I want to eat good food. You know what I mean? It's like they say, where's that stairway to heaven? What was that? Rubber Plant. That's 1971. I know some of you guys don't know what I'm talking about. So I'm like, hey, I want to get it right. Now I know you was talking the money thing. That's something I think we should absorb that in terms of money. The parade was great. What everybody said was point. We need a band. What's up with the high school band? A lot of people, I was kind of disappointed, and they didn't have a scaled down version in terms of just the drum section. And so a lot of folks, I was there. So my suggestion is this: if that's the case, we need to go outside, probably go to Glenn County and see they'll come on down. You know what I mean? And to put a little caveat on that, probably get the tourist department to probably give to these students, whoever coming, like a $10 or $15 chit. I said 10, you know what I mean? I was basing it on like 100 students who are coming to play. That's $1,000, man. I mean, if you can't afford that. And I think also, I don't know, those are incentives. Because at the same time, I think what's happening is, when in Warren Robins, all the high schools at the 4th of July parade, they all attended. People say, well, there are people on vacation, on this, on that. I hear all that, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I think we should give them an incentive or go outside, go to Glenn County, see if they will come. If Fernie, see if they would come. I bet you what, Camden High would not miss it anymore. So we need to keep that in mind. You know what I mean? A little incentive, a little $10, whatever, to make it, I think, because I think it was a missing ingredient as
as the city. You know, I think it's great. I enjoyed it. My 3 grandkids having a good time. I was tired, but because of them, I had a good time too. Thanks, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. We will move to the approval of the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, can I add an agenda item, a discussion?
I assume so, yeah.
I would like to add a discussion item on how council gives directions to staff.
Okay. Is there- I don't know if everybody knows enough to understand what you're asking, but whether there's a...
I don't think council's supposed to give direction.
Well, they're not, and that's why I want to have a discussion.
So is there a second to add that to the agenda?
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so that'll be item J. So our consent agenda was items A, C, D, E, H. And so I have a motion to approve that consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Ingram. Second. And by Mr. Connors.
Yes, sir.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that's unanimous, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
And now the approval of our agenda, which will include discussions of item B, F, G, I, and J. Motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Okay, by Mr. Rassi and Mr. Nascimento. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that's unanimous, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
So we have no old business, so we'll go into our new business. Our first item is the City of St. Mary's social media policy and compliance.
Good evening, all. You have before you, if you will remember backing up, council had asked me to develop a social media policy, and what you have in front of you is gone through. We had some staff members that participated in some training on the latest advice, if you will, for government officials when it comes to social media and websites and content and things of that nature. They came back with the latest on that. We've also run this past our city attorney. And what you have before you is what we're proposing as a policy.
Okay. I might make, I guess, one suggestion based on Mr. Canning's input there about the review and amendment, that the policy should be reviewed annually, at a minimum annually instead of periodically.
Okay.
I agree that.
I want to, I guess I'm coming at it from a different perspective. And I think this was given to Mr. Horton to work up because there was a problem with me putting something on social media. First thing is, I want to say that I want to work with everybody on the council, including the mayor. I know that we all have intentions on doing what's best for the city and the citizens. And I also know that we're all going to disagree. And I don't always have my way, and when there's a disagreement, when I disagree with the rest of the board or anybody else, I just take it in strides. I don't see St. Mary's the same way anybody in this room see it. Okay, and anybody on this dais, I don't see St. Mary's the same way. I know I've been here longer than anybody in the city right now. I'm 74 years old, so I've been here at least 74 years. I was here during the good times and the bad times. You know, I was here when I couldn't even walk down the sidewalks, you know, because of discriminatory practices. Couldn't enter into some of the restaurants and things for discriminatory practices. But I still love the city of St. Mary's. We got some great people here. And I feel this document is an effort to restrain my freedom of speech. Mr. Horton is a city manager. He works for me and the council and the mayor, not the other way around. The document is good for the staff. But if you want to put restraints on keeping me from saying things on the diocese or in the media, we need to go to our playbook. We need to change the charter or something else, because as far as I know, as long as I say what's true and I don't defame anybody, I can say pretty much what I want to. So I just think that, like I said, this is a good policy for the citizens. But if it's an effort to keep me from saying things that I feel is on my mind to enhance the citizens of St. Mary's, I'm going to say it. And I don't think you can appoint Mr. Horton, the city manager, or any staff that he designate to tell me what I can't say or what I can't post on social media. Now, if the council and the mayor want to get together and they want to put restraints on me, we'll do that. But you better know exactly what you're doing, and you better make sure that the charter approves this.
I asked for this to be a discussion item as well, and with all due respect, I was surprised the city didn't have a social media policy 10 years ago. Social media has been around for a long time, and lots of city organizations have these. I mean, I've looked it up myself. It's a very common practice, and it's not restricting anybody's singular free speech. It's just formalizing the city social media page, the actual city's social media page, to make sure that it is informative for the citizens and, pertaining to city business and the city direction. And that's as a body, not any single person, including us council members. Nobody's free speech is being prohibited here. I mean, we are free to say whatever we want to on our own social media pages and share it to any group page, whatever, just not for official city business, to make sure that it is something that's the direction of the city. Part of why I wanted to have this as a discussion item is because something else that Tom Canning suggested was, the public comments turned off. And I didn't know if we need to make an amendment to this. And based off the way it's written, I don't think we need to, because it does spell out that it has to be, ultimately our COO or Chief Operating Officer. It's at his, it has to go through him. And it does spell out if a post allows public comments and responses. So that doesn't mean we have to have them turned on. And in a majority of a post, I believe that they should be turned off, unless it's a pertinent thing where we want to have a citizen poll of some sort and we determine that it should have citizen comments turned on. But it does keep from having to monitor the page, daily, to make sure that there's nothing, in the comments that, shouldn't be on a city page. So I do agree with the policy. I do like the change for that one word from periodically to annually. And I think it's something we should have had a long time ago.
Any other discussion?
Well, what would the process be if one of the council members wanted to put put something on one of our social media pages, and our city manager or whoever was responsible for monitoring that disagreed with it. Maybe we should address that, because I think that's what I hear as a main concern about it.
If I may, I think that'll be actually covered in my discussion item that I requested to have, because it's not a single council member to issue orders or demands of the city manager or anything that the city does, but it's the body of council. So if it's something that's questionable, we should have a process in place, not just for this, but it's also for other directions as well, and that's going to be discussed in my discussion item.
Let me ask you a question. Everybody knows what took place, what I said, and what the paper said, and everything. According to what the paper said and what I said, would that be restrictive? Anybody from the council or the mayor can answer. Would I be restrictive in posting that?
You know, I do believe that the Post had kind of a political slant to it.
Everything is political, Mayor.
No, it doesn't have to be. I mean, it can be informative without being political, and that's kind of the issue, is that we should be informing the public about what is going on in the true fashion, and when it comes to politics, then that should be on our own personal social pages that we administer ourselves. But when the public goes to the city page it should just be straight information about things that are going on within the city and informative. But when we start offering personal political opinions, I don't think that that's the city's venue for that. I think that's our personal social media. And nobody's restricting our personal social media or anything you want to say from this dais. You can say anything you want when it comes to that. But
but
what
I'm
gets
asking,
posted on the city page, I felt like that was
was there
critical.
anything that I posted that was political?
I'll say that the issue that was had, the Post came across as championing a vote that went 5-1. So that stance, if we brought it to council for approval, I would say it would not have been approved on a city official page. But you could post it on your own personal page all day long. Nobody's telling you not to say what you want to say up here on your personal page.
No, I didn't say anything against anybody or their vote. I just told them the reason why I voted the way I voted, and it wasn't against the ferry or the subject. It was against us spending city taxpayer dollars to do it. You know, I just didn't see where and people thought that I was against the ferry, so I had to clear that up, that I was not against the ferry.
Right, which is totally okay.
Yeah, exactly. And I just told them that in the letter.
Right, which would be okay for your personal page, but the city page, 5 council members voted that was okay. So that's not, that's not an order of, the body of the council.
Yeah.
That was a unilateral opinion.
And for the correct and actual factual matters, we have not spent the money and still haven't spent the money. We didn't vote to spend the money. We voted
For the
to
idea.
consider, the possibility of it based on the RFP. So that was kind of the confusing part for me, is that we did not vote to actually spend the money, it's a nuance, but I just didn't feel like it was 100% accurate because we hadn't spent the money. We didn't vote to spend the money.
Yeah, but you put it in the budget. It's in the budget.
As it had been for years, but that doesn't mean it's going to get spent. As we all know, it's going to come back here before the council for the actual contract to be reviewed.
Mayor, and with due respect, I won't have anybody on this dais or anybody else to restrict my freedom of speech.
No one is restricting your freedom.
You're saying that it shouldn't have been said that you want Roger.
Shouldn't have been said on the city website. You can say it on your personal website all you want.
In the article of the paper, write it all you want to, but like, it's not the official city
Okay,
page.
that's my opinion, Artie. I mean,
Okay.
so, anyway. So is there any other discussion?
No.
A motion to approve with the one-word change from periodically to annually?
Second.
Okay. Any other?
Further discussion?
We already had discussion, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
So we have 5-1 with Mr. Jones abstain, voting no.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The next item for discussion is the St. Mary's Rec Authority Park Swimming Pool lead and asbestos removal. Item F.
Mayor, council, what are your questions?
I would like to know what Mr. Canning brought up, and that's about labeling it a brownfield. Is that a possibility to do?
So when I was doing the fellowship,
with the city, Mr. Maher, Mr. Horton, and I looked into that, and the representatives from the EPA and the International City County Management Association went through, and we would barely qualify, if at all, and it would take, I think, several years, if I remember correctly, to even get the funds for the preliminary study. And the intent at the time was to get the lead and asbestos abated so the pool could be removed. So it could be applied for the brownfield through the EPA, but that's going to kick the can down the road. How long, I don't know.
I definitely don't want it to be several years, because I wish this was taken care of before I took office, so.
Yeah,
Like at least a year and a half.
me too.
Well, that's why when I was in the fellowship, we were pushing because that was a possibility, but then when they said the timeline was way outside what Mayor Morrissey and the council at the time was like, no, we don't want to wait that long.
And that's another thing. Every time that there's a reason, every time it come up to spend money or whatever, we need to look at other money-saving avenues rather than just write a check. The federal government's giving out all kind of money, and I've checked with several people because I just got my agenda Friday. I didn't have time to look into it and find out everything about EPA. But I talked with several cities and several organizations, and this would definitely be considered by EPA. And the reason why, the only thing that would be holding it up would be, like I said, a time factor. But you know what, we started this, 4 or 5 years ago?
Well, and not to interrupt, Mr. Jones, I apologize for that, but just what Alex is talking about, we had physical conversations with the EPA. We talked with them at length. There was some questions initially. When we started breaking it down, we got closer, and we got the, well, maybe. And in order to get to the yes or no, that was even going to be additional time period.
Yeah, and I understand, but what I'm saying, I got my agenda that Friday evening, Friday morning. Saturday and Sunday, I didn't have a chance to look at it until Monday. And I called some people about it because everything on the agenda, I go over thoroughly. I try to make sure that I'm aware of everything that's in there and I understand what I'm voting on before the meeting. And all the indications I had was that you could probably qualify for it. It'll take a year or so, which, I agree. I want to get it done as soon as possible. I wanted it done last year, 2 years ago. But if we can have a $30,000 savings and, or maybe just even another week to look into it, to make sure that we can get any EPA money, I'm willing to take a chance on it.
Guess I'm not sure, because this, this was on our agenda probably 3 months ago when we did not get any bids at that time, and then, we had discussion. Councilman Keene suggested she might know some companies that were involved in this type of work, and
But I thought that was just for demolition.
no, that was for the asbestos removal back 3 months ago, and we didn't have anybody bid on it.
That's correct. It was on the removal, the
Is-
abatement.
Okay.
Is the person,
I didn't know it was for removal.
is the company that bid on it the one that was one of the subcontractors for the office space?
That I don't know, Ms. King, I'm sorry.
Okay, because I gave you guys that at the last meeting. But in any case, would it be a problem to, since we did, and this is one of the items I want to talk about, since we did not get our packet until, Thursday afternoon at just right before 5 o'clock on a holiday, is there any harm in delaying this until our, tabling it until our next council meeting to allow us to make some phone calls to see, and we do have a study, right? We already have a study
Yeah.
that shows that we have
Exhaustive.
contaminated.
Yes.
So we've
100%.
we've gotten over that hurdle. So we could find out what the timeline would be and if there's any way to fast track it, because we have been waiting for a long time. I mean, before we ever got on council, I think 2 years ago, maybe council asked that it be demoed.
Yeah.
And
So-
don't get me wrong, I want to have something done as soon as possible, because every time I pass that area, I cringe. I just pray that, nobody falls in, or there's not an accident there that we could be in a possible lawsuit.
Right.
So,
And now that we have a company who's actually given us a proposal, I think we should act quickly, but I'm not opposed to allowing adequate time to make some inquiries, if that's what we'd like to do.
So, just to be clear, who's making these inquiries?
Well, I think Mr. Jones would like to make some phone calls.
Okay.
yeah, well, and one of the people I called, my son, he's in South Fulton now. He's been there about a year and a half. He's got them $1.3 million in Brownsville money. When he was in the city of Brunswick, he got them a little over $1 million in Brownsville money. And I also asked our JDA director, what about the mill site? There should be money there. And he said that EPD said that there wasn't no more than about $300,000. Well, I was told there was a lot more money available for the site, and I asked him if they would look into it again. But, we have a problem with who's got ownership and the bankruptcy courts and everything else. So I don't know how that'll be looked in, but we need to strain all of these avenues as much as possible. If we think that we can save $50,000 here, $100,000 there, and get free money from the federal government or state government, I think we should look at it.
Okay, so let me back up here. I'm not sure that we got a motion to approve this starting out.
No, not yet.
No,
So,
we don't have a motion.
No, sir, we had no motion. We had Councilman Keene mention about tabling, but no motion on the table.
right, so I guess I entertain motion to either postpone or a motion to approve?
I offer a motion that we table it, Mayor, until our next meeting.
Okay. Mr. Jones? Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, so that is 4-2.
Yes, sir.
And so I'll now entertain a motion to approve.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Stringer and Mr. Nascimento. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Ms. King, affirmative?
Yes.
Any, those opposed?
I'll go along with it also.
I'm sorry?
I'll go along with it also.
Okay, so it's unanimous?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Unanimous to proceed.
Thank you.
Mr.
Might as well stay here since the next one's on me too.
Okay. So next item G is the contract for the fire station access road and tax allocation district number 2 water treatment plant infrastructure. So we have before us the bid. We had, was it 5 bidders?
Yes, sir.
6, was it?
5.
5, yeah, 5 bidders, all of whom, well, all but one who came in under our estimated project cost from ETM, our engineering firm, which was at $20,163,916. So the winning bid was the Reynolds Construction of Georgia at $16,091,000. So, can I have let's just do it right this time. Can I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Ingram and Mr. Connors. Okay. Any discussion?
I have a question. I did call Mr. Horton and Mr. Blackerby about this earlier this afternoon. And as I understand it, we have a $35 million revenue bond to cover all our infrastructure on this project. And we have reserved $5 million of that for interest and principal during the early years of the project development. So that leaves us with about $30 million. And we're getting ready to pull the trigger on half of that, a little over half of it. So my question is, and I know we have a development agreement with Radiant. Radiant apparently has sold the property we've got a couple of things. We've got the golf course being developed, and we've got 80 residential homes that are going in the Esplanade this year. My question is, our repayment of the bond requires that things be developed on the timeline that we're using in our cash flow projections. So do we have any reason to believe that there would be any delays of any kind or any problems on our residential and commercial development at this time? We don't.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't have any contractual assurances
We have
per
the
se.
contractual, to your point, the Taylor Morris project, which is the golf course on the residential side. There are also two to three commercial pockets that are very close to happening. But to your question was, we have the Taylor Morris and the golf course is what we currently have to work with.
Right. I guess, one of the things, I pulled the original schedule that we had for the estimated revenues and the projections for when it would start, bringing in, what TAD revenue. And, of course, like I said, we are ahead of schedule, it appears, from what that original timeline was based on and the original cash flow for this TAD was projected. There's no guarantees here, and this is, of course, the reason why, I think one of the major reasons, not to speak for him, that Mayor Marcy was very concerned about, this project from the get-go. But one of the, like I say, as it is now moving more quickly than was anticipated even or hoped, if it continues, we should obviously be in good stead. Just like I say, just the addition of the golf course being finished this year, will significantly increase the value of the land with the model homes that they anticipate on building in first quarter of next year. All of that will start to create that TAD revenue that we will rely on, and these commercial pods and those kinds of things that those were none of those were really scheduled for further out, but it's encouraging to hear, like you said, that they do have some of that already potentially under contract, and we hope to hear a little bit more about those soon. But
right
now I feel good about it.
Okay, so
I know.
So here's my question. Apparently, the company that issued the bond felt comfortable enough about the project to issue the bond. And we don't want to get ourselves in a position where we're not proceeding on schedule with the infrastructure, which then in turn holds up the construction. But is there any, and I don't know the answer to this, so I'm asking the question, is there any way that we can buy insurance to cover the payments on the bond should the construction not occur? Because we have in our history run into that before.
Yes, ma'am.
And
the way this bond was laid out through the process, and I think Mr. Blackerby can also attest to it, we were a part of that whole process. It was a very long process. One of the caveats that was placed into that is being able to go back in and restructure that bond if we run into that kind of a situation.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm just, I'm on pins and needles, and I'm ecstatic that we're getting this road done under budget, $4,000 under budget. I just hope that we don't have any mishaps or change orders or anything else, but I say let's go with it if we don't have any liability.
The way I understood it, and Mayor Morrissey had a very good performance the last meeting of December, 2.5 years ago, when he did raise his concerns that he had. To my understanding, this bond wasn't going to cover the whole project. That he potentially said that if we don't have the revenue production, that there's a potential that we would have to restructure the bond to another $60 million. So this amount is not supposed to cover everything entailed in this project. It's the revenues off the bond, and he was concerned with that we might have to restructure to a significant larger amount. Also during that time, it was believed that the commercial side of things would have been the first or more so revenue producer, because Esplanade wasn't at the table, the Taylor Morris project. It was going to be potentially farmed out to maybe different developers within that area, and it would have been more condensed housing, no golf course, but there was not an official plan. But Esplanade stepped up to the table pretty early on, and after that deal was done, Mayor Morrissey, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but just what I heard him say was his concerns were alleviated. And with that, with them stepping up and taking on the whole project as it goes, to my understanding, we are ahead of schedule on the bond revenue. So
at this, yeah.
And just for informational purposes, for the benefit of the new council and the old one, you may not have heard this. Originally, it was estimated to be a $96 million project.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. When we got ETM on board and they started doing engineering and they started working directly with Mr. Marr and our staff, they're estimating a savings of that 96 of around $40 $3 million of savings from what was originally estimated, because they were able to figure out new directions of running lines and different ways to save us in the long run. So that was just a little bit of tidbit information.
As this project goes on and this TAD continues, as development occurs, there should be sufficient TAD revenue to pay for future infrastructure above and beyond this 30 million without having to go back for a new bond is the plan.
Yes, sir.
Right. We're setting aside phase 2 money.
Yeah.
And just for the benefit of the viewers at home, because I know this has been a hot topic also, please remember how that bond's being paid for. It's being paid for by the people that are moving into that area.
Right.
Their tax dollars from the city, county, and school board are funding us being able to pay for that TAD. So I just wanted to get that out there.
Yep. All right, is any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous, Madam. All right, and that leads us to item I, which was I didn't write it all down.
Timing of when we need to receive council.
The agenda,
Right.
that was Ms. Keene's item?
Yeah.
No, that was,
Yeah,
I think that's
The
right.
Discussion of the agenda
Right.
packets.
yeah, it's fine. Yes, the timeliness of the agenda.
Right. So, I think when we first, and there were a couple of us, I don't know about the history of this, but I understand there probably is a little bit of history being frustrated with us, the council, receiving our packet on a Friday, usually before our meeting on Monday, which really only leaves us, and for example, we got this particular packet on July 3rd at 5 o'clock, and it was 127 pages long, and we had quite a few items of importance on here. So what that requires is for us to try, first of all, read through it over the weekend, which nobody likes anything dropped on them at the last minute. I think we can all admit that that's not a good thing. And then we have to scramble around on Monday to try and get answers to our questions. So I, this morning, sent an email at about 7:40 a.m. with a few questions, and Mr. Horton did get back to me on those. But it's really not the way we should be conducting business, and this is just my opinion. I feel that it would be, and I did speak with a lot of other council members at our annual Georgia Municipal Association. Most of them get their packets at least a week ahead of time. So I would like to propose formally that we receive our packet on the Monday close of business prior to our council meeting, which would give us that week to read it, call contractors, ask questions. We won't be tabling items, but we can all be more prepared to come to the meetings with less discussion. I'm hoping that our council meetings will be shorter because of this. And in order to do that, I think our clerk who prepares this needs to have the information a week prior to that. So we get it the Monday before the meeting. She gets all the information the Monday prior to that. They do a tremendous job putting this packet together and giving us all a paper and an electronic copy, but that's a lot of work. And I know that might stress staff. The first time you do it is hard. After that, it all just kind of flows. But I'd like to ask our staff to make the commitment to do that in hopes that we will have more and better information, be more informed as a council for our meetings as we go forward.
To Ms. Keene's point, it's not just the time that we have to review the packet, but on the weekends, when we're talking with contractors or when we, if Mr. Jones wanted to make phone calls about asbestos removals, everybody's closed on Saturday and Sunday. So that leaves no time except for the day of the meeting to be able to make phone calls, do research, and make an adequate decision before council meetings. So just on a business day, just like we can't get a hold of staff on Saturday and Sunday, and we wouldn't, people's weekends are their own and they should have their time with their family. I think we should operate as a city during business days. So getting that packet a week before allows us to communicate with people during business days and not bother people on the weekends so that we're prepared for Monday. So, to your point, I think that's a huge factor in what it takes to make a good decision by Monday.
Well, if you're going to make that in the form of a motion, as long as there's an understanding, if something comes in, say Wednesday or Thursday, and Mr. Horton want to add that to the agenda, he can do this, but the basic package should be in on Monday.
Yeah, and I would have a cutoff day. I don't think you should ever give it on a Friday because, again, there goes, you don't have, maybe make Thursday the cutoff day. If anything needs to be added, make it added by Thursday so you at least have that one business day to do phone calls.
Well, okay, so it's really our clerk that deals with anybody adding something at the last minute and then getting it out to us. So, I'd like to say that we definitely need our packet on Monday.
Yeah.
The Monday week before our meeting, but I also want to be aware of what it takes for our clerk to get that to us on the Monday prior to our meeting. And I don't want her to be, having to chase down. I think we just need a management commitment that they will get her the information a week ahead of time too, and that's painful one time.
I'd like to ask Ms. Stein to come up to the microphone, please.
Yeah.
A number of the items on our agendas are very often planning-related approvals and things that have been through the planning process and waiting for final approval. And I know your department, you've been working very hard to move things as quickly as possible for people so I just...
We offer a 45-day turnaround on a complete application. So this would change that.
So I'd kind of like to hear from you how that might impact, the scheduling.
Yeah, and I know how much work the city clerk puts into the packet, and my items came in on June 27th, just to be clear. But the request that has come would then bump that an additional week. So just to put it into perspective, the Planning Commission will meet tomorrow evening. So with that cycle in mind, now rather than, even with trying to get the packet to Deborah in the earlier time frame that the council had requested at the beginning of the year, it would be a struggle to get it into you, but now that means that you wouldn't hear those items, and I don't have a calendar in front of me, but you basically wouldn't receive those items until the first
Second council meeting
in
of
August,
the month?
or the second in August. It would be the first council meeting of the month.
You wouldn't have 2 weeks to get it to her.
So, yeah, and I mean,
But
it just changes the time frame. It changes the time frame. That's all.
But we are proposing that she can have up until Thursday to add additional items. Is that? So if we get the council packet out on.
From my perspective and with my staff, I would like to have a hard and fast. Because what ends up happening is that when we have applicants who are coming to us, before they even begin the process of applying, they want a time frame. And right now, I offer them from the 30 days that they have to submit their complete application to my staff in order to get it in the paper in front of the Planning Commission in a timely manner, then I offer them, the 45 days from when they submit the application to when council hears it. So now this will be a help me do the math. It'll be, rather than 45 days, it will be whatever the additional 60 days. Or something like that. I'm sorry, I don't have a calendar.
Yeah.
What about Wednesday? Because that gives you
Well,
6 days, including Wednesday, including that Wednesday and the Monday of the meeting, if we did it on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Just so I'm following, are you saying the Wednesday,
Before the meeting.
the Wednesday prior, before the meeting?
That's right.
That's putting it in your hands.
That's right, by Wednesday.
And then maybe, and Ms. Walker Reed, you bark down there if this doesn't sound right to you, but that you would have everything by, by Monday afternoon the week before.
Well, we're saying Wednesday now.
So
And-
just to
and so
give you
then
an
you would have all
example.
day Tuesday and Wednesday to prepare that, to get it to us by Wednesday.
So
night.
I just want to
Thursday,
kind of give you an
Friday, and
example.
Monday.
The week before your next meeting is on the 21st. So if you want your packet on the 14th, I would need to have the items I would need the items this week.
Yep.
So I could prepare it on Monday, the 14th,
Okay.
which is a whole week before the 21st.
But what we're talking about now is if we got him
Wednesday.
on Wednesday, so.
When would your cutoff be?
The 16th, so that you could get everything by
Well,
the
you
14th.
already get that now. So like last Wednesday, which was the Wednesday before this meeting, you all got a draft agenda.
Yeah,
I didn't
right.
have all the items, but I had the title.
Yeah.
So you already got you had the draft agenda on Wednesday. It's already like that now. You get
Yeah,
the draft
but-
agenda on Wednesday,
It's
and then
not
when
the
I receive
agenda.
the
That's fine.
items,
It's
I
not
don't
the.
have all the items. I just
Right.
have like the titles.
We need the support for the, it's,
Right.
the agenda is not really helpful without the support
Right.
for us.
So then you
'cause-
all would just decide when you want me to get.
So that's what I'm
the
asking.
actual item.
If we put our deadline as the Wednesday before the meeting.
Yeah.
That by close of business or the end of the day, you would have that is your deadline from staff, the Monday, 2 days prior to that.
That'd be wonderful.
Does that gives you 2 days, basically, gives you all day Tuesday and Wednesday
Yeah.
to compile that and
Yes,
get
sir.
it to us. That would-
is that possible for the people that you're getting it from, that are on staff?
That would be
the question.
We're dealing with all different departments. I mean, it's.
Well, I mean, like, as Ms. King says, once they do it once, then that's the schedule moving forward. And, thank you, Ms. Stein. It kind of alleviates last minute things necessarily, unless it's a real crisis or, emergency repair or something like that we need to add in there, but it builds a little buffer for everybody, in that system. So, I don't know if we need a motion at this point. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
And just for council's information, there's an actual ordinance that this is in right now. There is no deadline. So this is typically put inside of an ordinance. So if you all wanted to make a motion now and then have the attorney,
Yeah, I was going to suggest if you want me to come back with a proposed ordinance revision to formalize that, then I
okay,
can-
you
So
need
hold
a
off on
motion
the vote.
from us to do that?
I would,
Or-
how about you, I don't know, if I'm coming back with a formal ordinance, I think I just need direction from you all.
Okay.
To-
Okay.
I think we have a consensus on that,
To do it on Wednesday.
that the Monday
Yes.
prior to our meeting, the staff will have content into the city clerk, and then by Wednesday, close of business, we will have the agenda packet.
I think that's good.
Mhm.
It's got my vote.
Gives us a couple extra days and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, how much stress is that going to put on everybody else?
Deborah.
We
hope it lightens her load a little bit.
Deb, what do you think about that?
It's just the first time.
get the pleasure of you all. So it would be nice. I mean, other cities do it. They have theirs in 2 weeks ahead or a week ahead. I don't know any city that has their packet on Friday and the meeting's on Monday.
Yes, ma'am.
So whatever you all do, we're gonna do what you guys need. So
Okay.
Appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
All right. And, item, was changed there, so item there, discussion on staff,
Do we need-
allocation, staff direction. Yes.
We need to vote on that.
I was wondering, do we need a,
No, he's gonna bring us back.
We're
an
gonna vote
ordinance.
on that whenever he brings us the policy written. So I bring this up, and man, I want to preface this strongly that I'm not trying to throw shade at anybody. There's no ill intent here, but one glaring example of kind of what I'm talking about is, council directing staff. Council should not individually issue demands to staff, and really it should go through the city manager. The city manager is the chief operating officer of the city, and, we should definitely be talking to the city manager, and then he directs staff. One example I have is, regardless of how we got there, was a well-needed social media policy, but Councilmember, how did you have access to the social media page for St. Mary's, Councilman Jones?
I called,
That's fine, a staff member.
Yeah.
So that's directing staff to do something that is city business. This is kind of one example why I think we should have a formal policy.
if I'm going to, say if I wanna, if I'm going on a trip or whatever, and Debbie is staff, and I direct her to do something and I don't go through, you mean I have to go through Robbie for that too?
I mean, he is the city manager. I know that there's a fine line of the way our charter is written on the city clerk, that she does work for the council, but she is also, her day-to-day timeline is managed by the city manager. She still reports to the city manager on day-to-day operation, which is her timeline. So if she does have work to do that falls under what the city manager thinks, and we're interrupting that, I mean, he should have a good idea of what's going on. Also, I think that the city manager should have discretion. If we do have council members that are asking to do things that, he does have a pulse of the body of the council, and, he should have the discretion to act and direct staff, or if it is something questionable, he's not sure that might not be the will of the entire body of council, then he should be able to defer that to the CEO, per our city charter, the mayor, and get the mayor's opinion on this certain item. And if it's something that the mayor says, no, let's go ahead and take care of it, or it needs to get the approval of council before we, start tasking staff to do things that might not be in the direction of the city.
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
I can agree with that.
So I think it helps make the city more efficient and creates a smoother work environment for the employees.
I appreciate you bringing that up, seriously.
So I guess this would be a tasking of Mr. Blackerby for the second time in a row to kind of help us out with that and draft us a policy that we can vote on at a future meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Councilman Ingram.
I believe with that, we are ready for our announcement of our calendar, Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir. On Tuesday, July 8th at 5:30 p.m. here in council chambers, you have the planning commission meeting. On Thursday, July 10th at 9:30 a.m. in the Main Street office, we'll have the Orange Hall Management Committee meeting, followed by the 5 o'clock p.m. third quarter development progress update here in council chambers, followed by the 6 o'clock p.m. third quarter town hall meeting in council chambers. On Friday, July 11th, here in council chambers, we have St. Mary's Municipal Court plan arraignments. On Monday, July 14th, we had a DDA, the Downtown Development Authority meeting has been canceled at 8:30 a.m. in Main Street. Again, that's on Monday, July 14th. On Tuesday, July 15th, at 2 o'clock p.m., we have the St. Mary's Convention and Visitors Bureau Authority meeting has been moved from the July 22nd to the 15th at 2 p.m. On Friday, July 18th at 9 a.m., we have St. Mary's Municipal Court trials, followed by the 11 o'clock a.m. St. Mary's Municipal Court plea and arraignments. And on Monday, July 21st, we have the 6 o'clock p.m. City Council meeting.
And what was the work session we were talking about?
There's supposed to be a blight one. I don't have the time yet.
Stormwater.
Oh, that's too different.
Well.
Seems like we had something else we were talking about. We are probably going to need to have a work session on PSA and recreation.
Okay.
Prior to the council meeting on the 21st.
Oh, okay. A work session, okay. I think there was, I think we were waiting on a time for a blight, so do both that day, the work session and the,
yes.
And just see how it works.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
You're welcome.
Council member comments.
I'm ready.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, okay?
Okay, stop.
I'm talking to Angela. I'm talking to Angela.
Enough said.
Saturday, we got the Seafarers Memorial Ride. Where is that taking place at?
Registration starts at 8 a.m. and the ride starts at 10 a.m. They
Okay.
take off at 10 a.m.
And then on Saturday also, we have music in the park and a Bluff 5 band, right?
That's correct, 6 p.m.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome. They're awesome.
Where's that band from?
They're local.
They
Yeah.
played here before, right?
They have. We haven't had them at Music in the Park in 2 years, but they're local.
How do we support the motorcycle ride for the Seafarers Monument?
So they do have a Facebook page and a registration sign-up sheet that I believe is through the Camden Family Connection. But if anyone has any questions, there is a link from our Facebook page. If you go to our calendar, you can then find theirs, or anyone can email me and I'll get you directly to that page to support them.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Angela.
Thank you.
Okay, and my other thing is last Friday, we had a great Independence Day festival. We had no rain, that was nice. We have been working for this for months, getting everything prepared, getting people in place to make sure everything went as smoothly as possible so that everyone could have a good and safe day. The day we celebrated was the 249th anniversary of our 249th birthday of our country and the 56th annual Independence Day Festival. It has been a privilege and an honor to serve with so many great people. I want to take a moment to thank everyone that made it possible. I thank my fellow Kiwanians for their dedication in planning and then replanning and contacting vendors, food trucks, and all the important things that allowed our festival to go so smoothly. For driving golf carts all over the place, and for anything needed, anybody needing a ride. I thank all the city workers and friends that showed up on Thursday to load up the fireworks on the barge and showed up Saturday to clean everything up and enjoy some brunch afterwards. The best part of the day was having the opportunity to lead the incredible team in prayer and give thanks to God for His awesomeness. A team that prays together stays together. I want to thank the city leadership, fire, police department, public works, Main Street, tourism for outstanding support of this event. We could not have done this without you. Thank you.
I'm done.
I wanted to keep with the positivity with the audience, talking about our baby-faced mayor over here. So he told you that the weeds were pulled in front of City Hall, made it look so nice. What he was being was modest. What he didn't tell you is he was one of the ones pulling those weeds. So the Bible says you should give honor to whom honor is due. And I just wanted to thank our mayor. I know we're 6 months in, but I think he's done a great job. I was cutting his hair the other day. I said, I don't know if anyone's ever told you this, but you're doing a great job. And he's, I think, not just because he's pulling weeds, but because he's been fair and because he's been balanced and he's putting in time, he's coming in early. And I know, like me, he's a small business owner and his time is precious and he's using it to better the citizens of St. Mary's, and that's evident. So I just wanted to publicly say thank you, Mr. Mayor, for all the great work you've done. And let's give him a round of applause.
Yeah,
Why not?
I would echo that.
Sure, I'll go. Just want to echo the sentiments towards the 4th of July Festival. There was lots of hard work put in by city staff preparing for the event. The Kiwanis Club wouldn't go off without, well, either one of those groups and organizations. There were city employees that I know, I talked to them, they got out there at 6 in the morning to start their shift, and some of them worked all day until about 11 o'clock at night. So it was an all-day event. And, and I know some of the Kiwanis, the volunteers that do that, they actually put in the similar type hours. So thank y'all, every single one of you. I know that Alan's gotten praise earlier in the meeting, but it's well deserved. I would say by about maybe it's 12:30. There was a woman in front of Siegel's that got heat exhaustion, and the EMT said that was the fourth one, and I think one of those previous to that was Mr. Rassi getting off the back of the golf cart, and he had to get treated for heat exhaustion. But 2-3 hours later, he's back out there riding around taking people on shuttles and things like that, and still doing work. So he didn't learn his lesson. Hopefully, he didn't have a second, spell of heat exhaustion. We didn't really talk about it a lot because we've had a lot of other stuff, but the GMA conference, we were there. It was a great event. We pulled hopefully a lot of great information to bring back. I kind of mentioned, one of the, courses that I took on entrepreneurial-friendly cities. It's not just about what the city does. It's just ideas for your community, because you can't, help your small businesses enough. One thing I pulled in, that I've already shared with one of our local, business owners. Kanan, our photographer, and does video clips for the city. He does that for a lot of the businesses with the chamber, including where my primary job is at Bennett Chevrolet. But, just for him to approach, say, the movie theater, because our new movie theater, they have, you go in, if the movie says it starts at 8 o'clock, it starts at 8 o'clock. There's no previews, no commercials or anything before that. Maybe there's an opportunity there. That's something that another small community actually does, is they do local advertising within their movie theater. So have him go approach the movie theater, see if there's a interest there, and use his client list he already has to help sponsor a movie theater to help that new business get back off the ground, because it's a small operation now, and also that could roll into maybe our theater group as well. But there was other ideas we'll share and discuss as a council at a later date, but it was a great event, and glad I got to attend.
Thank you. Anyone else?
We live in the best place anybody possibly could live. That's just my 2 cents. And I'm gonna tell you why, okay? I took my grandson and we put the boat in the marina. They did such a great job getting us in that marina and everything. They waited on us and helped us tie up, and those guys at the marina down there are awesome. And if y'all are watching this right now, thank you so very much. But the 4th of July got by. We went down there. We watched the fireworks. We had a great time. And then we went back Saturday morning, and we were fixing to go to the boat. My grandson looked at me. He said, "Peepaw," he said, "this is amazing." I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "We had a 4th of July yesterday." I said, "Yes, we did." He said, "Where's all the trash?" They've picked everything up. The roads are clean. Everything's great. If there was a problem, they must have took care of it last night, people, or they got up real early this morning. We don't know how blessed we are.
You're right.
To have the people we have.
That's right.
From the Kiwanis to our main man back there that I love to death, all of you guys. I mean, you guys, hey, you guys do a unbelievable, if you work for the city of St. Mary's, you do a great job. And everybody has their days where they're not perfect. But I will say this right here. Everybody that's watching this right now, if you're associated with the city of St. Mary's, or you had something to do with our 4th of July, thank you so much. Because when your grandson can look at you and say, "Peepaw, how did this get so clean?" It's because of y'all. Thank y'all so much.
Amen.
I mean, because he's going to remember that when he's 35. Thank y'all so much. And thank you for getting that feller that went up to the Circle K and thought he could take a loan out. Thank you.
Hey, anybody else?
I think, I can't top what Steve said, but I just want to echo what everybody said. The 4th of July was great. I had a couple of people, several people down from the Atlanta area, Union City, Fayetteville, and I just invited them to come down and see what we were about. That's why I couldn't ride in the parade, because I wanted to be on the sideline with them and see how they liked it. and they had a ball. They rant and raved about how great it was, and I told them, I said, I'm not bringing you here for you to go back to Union City and try to do it. I'm bringing you here because I want you to bring more of Union City people down to St. Mary's and help us pay for this for the next year. But everybody did a fantastic job, and
Awesome.
Angela, you had some life-saving water for me. I ran out twice.
All right. So, just as closing my comments, I want to say, first of all, Chief, did you ever get back your cart? Councilman Ingram looked very comfortable riding around in that. And I know that at 10:30, I had to take you and Chief Lackner down to the site of the accident, the car accident, because you didn't have a cart.
I'm cutting the microphone for Mr. Rassi. No, sir, I do not have my cart back.
You don't?
Are you serious?
While I did enjoy the cart, I think it's probably still behind Main Street, but
Anyway, as I said, I had 60-plus members of my family and 6 future members of my family here this past weekend and for the holiday. And St. Mary's and the Kiwanis Club keeps them coming back every year, and I certainly appreciate all that's done. And people are starting to notice the lipstick in St. Mary's.
Oh, yeah.
That's city manager accuses me of being concerned about lipstick, and I'll admit that I am. And I want our town to look nice, and I want us to all be proud of it. And I appreciate all the hard work that's going into that.
In one thing I did miss saying, it starts with Robbie and Charlie leading the city and everything else. We appreciate y'all too. And Steve, we appreciate you as far as being the person you are and our lawyer and everything. Thank you, bud.
Okay, with that, we'll have a motion to
Charlie, we love you too.
executive session.
motion to go into executive session.
Second. For personnel. So we have Mr. Ingram and Mr. Nasmino. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you, sir.
Robbie?
I'll have more room behind the seats, you know?
Yeah. Oh, I'm hungry.
Ms. Walker Reed, that was Mr. Jones and I think Mr. Ingram that to adjourn executive.
I'd like to make a motion to go back into regular session.
Second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Ingram and a second by Mr. Jones to turn to regular session.
Take a vote.
Huh?
We need to take a vote for that?
Yes.
All those in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And by the way, we lost Mr. Rassi, so that's a vote of 5-0. He had to go back to work.
Okay, and then Councilman Connors, oh, there you go, I'm sorry. I didn't see you under that.
I'm just getting a step on.
Yes, sir.
All for motion, we adjourn.
Motion to
Second.
adjourn, second.
Walk back up them steps, my knees.
Motion
to
adjourned by
adjourn.
Jones, a second by Ingram.
Thank you, sir.
All those in favor?
Aye. Man, we did get in before 9 o'clock. I'm impressed.
All right.
Not really.
So,
Attorney Blackerby, did you want to take the brief with you? The brief, did you want me to have the mayor sign, take it with you, or send it to you? Okay, I'm gonna have it, I have it right here for him to sign.
See, I can bring a bottle of that too. I got it too.
thank you. Have a safe trip.
Yeah, we should have it.
Already got that. Already got the last.
Mayor Lockhart.
You got a little,
I may not see you tomorrow, I was gonna say, can I get you to sign some stuff?
you got a little freezer back there?